Well, hello people, and welcome to what is going to be quite an interesting video, and possibly the most interesting we'll ever make on this channel. I just want to preface the introduction of this video by saying if you are here just for the update stuff and the bikes and the new assets, this video is timestamped down below. However, I am re-recording this intro after the news that was released yesterday on the 17th of November. That news is that Colossal Order and Paradox are parting ways once the bike patch has been delivered. Colossal Order are no longer the lead developer on Cities Skylines, instead with the franchise being passed to another Tampere-based game development studio, Iceflake. We'll also take a look at those today. But today, I just want to start by reading the press release that came from Paradox. I'll also add my own thoughts and opinions on this, and indeed my own speculations. After more than a decade of successful collaboration across numerous titles that we're both immensely proud of, Paradox and Colossal Order have mutually decided to pursue independent paths. This decision was made thoughtfully and in the interest of both teams, ensuring the strongest possible future for the Cities Skylines franchise. Development of Cities Skylines franchise will move to a different studio under Paradox Interactive's leadership, and Colossal Order looks forward to building on its experience across new projects, exploring new creative opportunities. Both companies are excited for what the future holds, while remaining deeply appreciative of our shared history and grateful to the Cities Skylines community. We then have a quote from Marina, the CEO of Colossal Order, who is very well known for various different reasons in the community. For over 15 years, the Cities series and our partnership with Paradox have been a defining part of our journey at Colossal Order. When we set out to create Cities in Motion, we never imagined it would grow to become a cherished franchise with a passionate, loyal community of millions of players around the world. We want to thank everyone at Paradox for their trust and collaboration, and of course the community for the incredible support that has made Cities what it is today. We're confident that the franchise will continue to thrive under Paradox's leadership. As we move forward, we're excited to channel our experience, creativity and passion into new projects that align with our long-term vision. This is obviously a very sad situation, and I really hope that people at Colossal Order aren't going to suffer pretty horrendous job losses because of this split. I just want to kind of underline this whole situation with that. I really hope people aren't going to lose their jobs from this. I hope that people like Colossal Order can carry on being Colossal Order and move on to pastures new. Matthias, the deputy CEO of Paradox, also chimes in with, "Our partnership with Colossal Order is one of the longest running relationships we've had here at Paradox. 4 games, dozens of expansions, and a community of millions of Cities players. It's remarkable how much we've achieved together. We have deep respect for the Colossal Order team, and we look forward to seeing where they go from here. On our end, we're eager to continue working for the passionate Cities Skylines community and make sure to provide them with more content and new experiences." So it sounds from those initial press statements that Paradox are still very much committed to CS, and this brings us on to the fact that the Cities Skylines franchise will now move to a new developer, and we're pleased to announce that Iceflake Studios will be taking this lead. Based in Tampere, Finland, Paradox clearly has a fetish for Tampere-based developers, don't they? Iceflake Studios is one of Paradox Interactive's internal management game studios, and is hard at work getting into the nuts and bolts of CS2. Specifically, Iceflake will take over all existing and future development for Cities Skylines 2, including free updates for the current version, continuous work on the editor and console editions, as well as future expansions and content packs. This means that Cities players will be able to look forward to new updates and content drops for many years. So briefly touching on Iceflake Studios, who are they? They are one of Paradox's internal studios, and they have one game which, believe it or not, coincidence or otherwise, is called Surviving the Aftermath. That's not a joke, that's genuinely the only game they've made, and that's what it's called. If that's not a something aligning in the universe, I have absolutely no idea what is. This game, however, did not have an incredible reception. 69% review after 4,000 on Steam is better than CS2, but by no means fantastic. And there's currently 42 concurrent players in Surviving the Aftermath. This is the studio that is taking over a game that has had an incredibly complicated and plagued with issues development cycle. They're coming into a game that currently holds 7,000 active concurrent players. It did peak, I think it was last weekend, wasn't it, when there was a free trial? You can see actually in the reviews. You can see when the free trial of CS2 was. And for more often than not, most days, the negative reviews are outweighing the positive ones on CS2. So they're coming into an environment that I think is pretty unstable, and I think should be super challenging for them. And these guys are also a smaller studio than Colossal Order were. So I'm a bit reluctant to make any kind of judgment on these guys just yet. I think we can't really decide what impact they're having until we see their first update, until we see what they can do with obviously what is a very complex and difficult to work with version of Unity that Cities 2 is based on. So coming back to the press release, Colossal Order will implement a few additional updates before leaving, including the bike patch, which includes the long-awaited addition of bikes, old town buildings, bug fixes, and general improvements to the game. We'll be talking about this later on in this video, adding bikes to Yoakley. They will also be implementing a beta for the asset supporter, meaning access to asset mods will also be available before the end of the year, which is the first concrete date we've ever been given for Asset Editor. Isolate Studios will take the helm for all development from the beginning of 2026. And then last, the studio manager of Isolate Studios chimes in with taking the reins of a genre-leading franchise like Cities is an immense honor and a great responsibility. There's a huge loyal community out there, and I want to say every member of that community, we will humbly carry this legacy with respect, together with all of you. Isolate has the capacity and capability to get started. We have a decade worth of experience in making city building and management games, and we see a strong foundation, so much potential waiting to be unleashed, and I can't wait to show you what we have planned for the next chapter of this incredible game. Both teams are working together to ensure the players will experience a smooth transition. Isolate will introduce themselves in the coming weeks and share their plans for the future, so you know what to expect. Of course, anything related to this next bit here, I will absolutely cover any and all news related to this video. And indeed, I'll probably make a standalone piece about this whole saga the last 2 years from the launch, just to kind of take a step back and look at this from a bit more of a third-person perspective. This is pretty huge news. Not something Paradox haven't done before. Of course, this exact same thing happened with the Prison Architect franchise after the original devs really couldn't deliver Prison Architect 2. So not something Paradox haven't done before. This has been something we've speculated on for a very long time now, for quite a few months on my channel, that Colossal Order would be removed. And indeed, we have proved to have been right. You could just pick up a vibe, the lack of planning or a solid roadmap, and the language that Colossal Order used. And bear in mind, I've also spent time around them a couple of years, well, last year, in Finland. So you can pick up on vibes, you know. I've spent time working in that kind of corporate marketing atmosphere, when there's board members and stakeholders to please. You can pick up on a vibe in that setting when things aren't going well, when those professional relationships are strained. And all that together had just led me to think, I don't think Colossal Order are going to be here much longer. And it would seem that has proven to be right. Like I said, I don't want to mention too much on Isolate. I don't want to say, well, you know, what are you guys going to do? You've only made Surviving the Aftermath, which doesn't have a fantastic reception on Steam nor an enormous player base to keep happy. Whereas CS does have several thousand players. But I'm going to give them a chance. I think I want to see what Isolate can do. Are they going to give us these very basic quality of life improvements that Colossal Order seemingly was so reluctant to give? Node manipulation was never countered. We never have a proper forest brush. It took 9 years for us to get a line tool to place trees and props in a row. These super basic base game engine foundational improvements that CS1 mods and CS2 mods are fixing a lot of those issues, but they've got to be in the base game. And I sincerely hope that Snowflake are actually willing to do that, to improve the foundation, the base game experience, before you start bringing in loads of content and DLCs, because the base game needs to be sorted first. It really does, and it seems Colossal Order had, I don't know, I'm not in there, the internal with the studios, I don't know the exact reasons. But for me, from the outside perspective, and indeed giving feedback in the early access programs that I'm involved with, it seems that Colossal Order, or Paradox, I guess I don't know actually who makes that final decision. I'm hoping it's Colossal Order, because Paradox is still involved. but it's like they chose the route of most resistance every single time with every decision they made. So I'm hoping that that's going to come to an end, and we'll finally start getting the very basic quality of life that we've all wanted for the last 10 years, at least in the vanilla / unmodded community. Yeah, I just hope that Snowflake aren't reliant on the community to fix the game's shortcomings. For example, like asking for different colored bike lanes. The response I got back was maybe someone can mod it in. It's like, how about no? Why don't you do it? Like, surely just a drop-down box with 3 different bike lanes. Please stop relying on the modders and the community to fix the game for you. I'm hoping that from this, that attitude is going to change a lot. I hope. We will see. I will keep you informed, of course, of any updates and news that come from what is the biggest update, isn't it, in Cities Skylines history? Pretty wild. Let me know what you think of it down below. Otherwise, let's finally get stuck into all this super exciting and very well executed bike stuff, by the way. Alright, everyone. Welcome back to Benedict Train Station, which we haven't been here for a while. It's a spot of a lot of fun and games indeed. There's trams over here, and many different trains heading in a few different directions now, of course, since we have so many little orbital towns we can see across the horizon over there to the power station now. It's a really fun bit of the city, and I think this is going to be primed for our first bit of bike infrastructure. I do need a new tram depot. I will have to place that in a future episode. Don't worry about that right now. So first of all, let's come into our roads tab, and we will come to our parking spaces. On the second tab down here is where we'll find the first bit of our bike infrastructure. So the first things we have are bicycle stands and bicycle shelters, and I'll definitely have a few of these around, I think. So I think, oh, we can place them right in the middle of the road here, outside the station. Oh, I think I would really like that. I'm not sure centrally, maybe that might be a bit in the way. Oh, I'm not sure. This is a this is a tough decision. I think I'm going to place them centrally. So we'll place 3 either side of these bike racks. Okay, and there's our first bike parked up. I guess everyone's just going to walk straight through the middle of them, aren't they? Which might be a little unrealistic. I think I will move them then. So we'll have our first row of bike racks down here. There you go. Just see someone park, his little leg came over. You see that? There's an electric scooter. It's fun to see some of the animation. There you go, does a little leg over, leaves his bike, and then goes. I wonder where you're going. Can we have a look? Your destination is Fatty Bite. So you cycled there, and you're taking a train up to Sunnyside. Okay, that's really cool. Ignore the healthcare problems. They are permanent despite the fact they're in the green. Just ignore them. I'll likely get a hide mods issue because we're in the green for healthcare, and they never get picked up, basically. So just ignore it, it's fine. I'm hoping it's going to balance out maybe with this patch, but we'll see. Beyond that, bikes are getting parked, which is wonderful to see. We also have these bike shelters, which are a bit larger. I'd love to place these just a bit in the way, aren't you? I wouldn't be averse to bumping that over a touch. Although it does want the connection there, doesn't it? There we go, that fits. And then hopefully this will sit. It does indeed. So we'll place this, quite a few of these shelters I think, in our little park area here. So we can see our bike parking availability also going up. And then one more in there. And let's take a look at these, shall we? So all the little bike decals. Great rows of bikes. So a huge fan of bike buildings being added. Would love to have had some of this stuff in CS1. And mountable bike racks and stuff, super cool. Now what else do we have here? We also have small, medium and large bicycle storage. Quite a few of these. Maybe we can have one in the plaza here. So these are going to make just such great little detail fills, aren't they? Really nice. Very Green Cities-esque, aren't they? This comes with bike racks out the front. And we can click on this. We can also charge a parking fee which I won't do. I'll encourage bicycling. City policies as well. If we were to come to Benedict, yeah, we can put the Urban Cycling Initiative on, which will cause the city to promote it as an alternative to private motoring. More citizens choose bicycles over private vehicles when travelling in the city. Cyclists also gain a minor health bonus. Well, they need that in Yoakley, don't they? They need that minor health bonus more than anything. So hopefully that'll help them out. We also have underground bicycle parking here, which we have some space here. Why don't we put that there? That's quite a nice little corner fill with that, isn't it? And then I'm just going to bring those surfaces up to the edge, of course. Trim back some tree work. And then I reckon we can also have just quite a bit of fun with this space around it as well. Let's jump into our prop menus here. We'll dive into park. And maybe just buy the bike hire place. There's a hot dog stand or two. Just to grab a bottle of water or a bite to eat if you just had a thirsty drive over. And then we'd have got some of our favourite tables here too. And maybe one of the fun L planters here. And perhaps another one over on the corner. Larger flower bed. Adjacent to the electric scooter parking. There we go. It's another really fun building, of course, coming in small, medium and large variants, so you can include them where you like, really. And they're small enough to integrate into already existing tram hubs, which is super cool. You can just squeeze them in anywhere, and then you're going to get these big rows of parked bikes. On a pedestrian street at least, perhaps these perform better on an actual road. So if we were to place these, say... I think they're still walking through them, aren't they? In fact, the dog is actually walking through the hoops there, isn't he? Which I'm sure was quite fun for him. But a little bit immersion break in that they're just walking through them. Do they do that with the other public transit stops? I guess they kind of do, don't they? I guess they just kind of stand on the little pole, don't they, here? So I suppose they do the same with the bike. But really fun. Now, of course, we need to give them actually somewhere to park. We've also got the bicycle parking area as well. Where can we put this? Let's have this one. Oh, so much choice. Have two of these over here in the park. So two little single tile ploppables. I'll just act as, of course, bike parking. That's most of the parking buildings there, isn't it? We'll definitely place a few more of these across different transit hubs around Yoakley today. Now we want to add our cycling lanes, which is very interesting indeed, because Yoakley already has some pretty interesting... Yeah, I can't add it here, can I? Because that's because the tram road's there, isn't it? Invalid shape. Oh no, it's just because of a dodgy connection with the tram. I can put it there. Okay, well I can probably just break that tram line. I hope this will work. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to add cycling to the left-hand lane of the one-way system as it comes down. And then we'll have it both ways, I think, all the way down here. So just as a way to plug in and out of the cycling system. It's possibly going to come down here as well. I think it probably should. I think this whole arterial stretch will probably be cycling. Oh no, that's actually sending the bike the other way, isn't it? So that's really interesting. I'm sure incredibly dangerous. You could actually... So yeah, by placing it on the left side, it's actually sending it backwards. You can also have turnaround points in there as well. Okay, that's quite interesting. In that case, I won't do that then. I'm going to keep it on the right-hand drive. Super interesting though that you can invert one-way bike networks against the flow of a road like that. That's really quite cool. I can't imagine a possible use for that, but I like that it's in there. Cool, so that's the couplet lined with one-way bike road. And then these roads that run up and down to the town centre, which do also obey a one-way system, which I'll continue to do that with the cycling as well. right up to the arterial here, especially to the college as well, over to the university. These are highway roads, which is definitely a problem. So let's just put these up to asymmetrical roads. I haven't forgotten about that tram road at the station either, don't worry. I think I'm just going to redraw this bridge actually. Those nodes are a little bit awkwardly separated for me. That should be a bit better, I think. Although, yeah, you're still not happy, are you? Because you're still highway road. I'm just going to bring these down to normal roads then. Downgrade out of the highway system now bikes are here. And then look at these roundabouts. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the intersection marking work happening there. Really, really sweet auto-generated intersections. I don't know if they're right. I'm not part of the marking police, so I can't comment if this is actually correct, but I really like the visual. I love it. Very nice. Then all the way down here. Straight into and around the college campus. That's about as far as I'll take it, I think, because it goes back to highway roads here, so I don't want the bikes coming down this far. Let me redraw that tram line in as well now. Why, I remember. Hopefully it should work. Yeah, there we go. Just a bit of a bug, I think, with the intersection thing. This is where anarchy is sorely needed, just to avoid simple little quirks like that with the road tools. And then also this main street will have as all cycling as well. But not up to the bridge. I'd like to divert them off before that. Because I wouldn't mind making use of some of the new cycling infrastructure. There is new cycling pathways as well. I don't want to send them down here because it's highway road. So maybe we can send them onto the waterfront instead. So we won't get them where there's a stop, which I guess makes sense. So we'll deal with that. And then I'm going to downgrade one of these piers into a cycling pier. So of course bikes has its own menus now, it's in with the keys. Could I do that? No, it's fine. I'll keep getting it too extravagant. Distance is too short for that one. We can use that one though. It's maybe it's maybe a bit extravagant for such a small span. But it does integrate them into the rest of the cycling network. And then lots of our downtown streets will also hold cycling infrastructure, especially these 4-lane central arterial systems. Definitely on the waterfront in downtown as well. Although there's a lot of bus stops down here, I think, so we'll probably miss a few segments of cycling. Back to there again, also here. Let's get a little visual of some of these. So I guess it's changing to dashed where it's passing over the junctions. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? If I can remember any of my driving theory tests. And here they are in their hordes, everyone. Also stuck in traffic. Funnily enough. There they go on the cycling bridge, which they're using. They're acknowledging the existence of cycling bridge, aren't they? We could also turn a lot of this pathway here. Will they also walk on cycling bridges, or is it strictly only cycling? It seems to be strictly just cycling, doesn't it? They won't walk on those bridges. Look at them go. I have to say, it's a phenomenally welcome addition into the visual of the game. Would really have liked to have asked Colossal Order and Paradox for an option to change the bike lane colour, perhaps to a blue or a red. Maybe just as like a toggle option. Hopefully that will be added. I would love to see that as well. This is just so fun. We're all parking here. Using the bike stands. And hopefully we're getting some sort of... There's even less availability, isn't it? We've already got 523 parked with a 754 capacity, and it's getting worse. Fantastic. Okay. So they're using it. So with the cycling infrastructure coming down here, it's linked into the town centre. Let's continue to add those road upgrades through here. So really I'd like to kind of essentially just follow the route of most traffic, just to see what a difference and what an impact the bike lanes are going to have here. This road is arterial. It comes back down to the junction here, so I want this as cycling as well. This will complete that cycling loop from this arterial system. We won't get that last segment there because the bus doesn't need to go further down because this is National Highways high interchange infrastructure. And then here we need the one-sided one again. So we'll complement all this. We get a, oh, you will actually draw across there. My word, isn't that awesome? Look at the markings there. That's so cool. I really like that. Phenomenal. Really nice. I'm also going to add it this side as well because I'd love to continue the one-way cyclability out this side, which makes that junction look even more cool, doesn't it? It's incredibly busy. I'd probably hate to cycle this myself. Did some cycling around London during my student years, and inner city cycling is horrific. Not good. Would not wish it on anyone. And then these one-way flow systems will also maintain that bike. So it heads down back to the main one-way couplet flow system here. You can also see that bit of intersection marking there as well with the trams. Isn't that awesome? Like, for vanilla intersections, that's pretty incredible. Like, the amount of detailing you're getting there. This is like advanced level intersection marking tool stuff for CS1. Really nice. We can see them using it already. Look at them go. Absolutely, we must have cycling infrastructure coming all the way down this road, right? Down up the hill, up to Upper Benedict here. 100%. Might lose a few zone-ins with the Anarchy collision, but that's fine, they'll regrow. I think this will be a really interesting one because there's so many different road configurations here. Definitely here. Because again, remember, this is going to be a road into our university. Or at least the entrance to it once it exists. How are we actually doing for that university demand right now? Yeah, we do need a college though, so maybe next episode we might actually expand that university campus. Get some bikes flowing in around it. Yeah, so all down the main street of Upper Benedict. You've no cause, I think, to go out there. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it on the main street. And then there's a quick way right down the main road, which is honestly going to be so incredible. Let's take a little crawl down here, shall we? This will just look amazing. So you just see how it's like zigging and zagging out across all those different segments. So you will get your bicycle roads still if you have your public transit stops on a median road, because they're still appearing here. It's an absolute beast cycling up here, isn't it? Brave souls, these people on the left. Cycling up this monstrous hill. But it's nice to see them, that they're picking it up as a way around really quickly. Which I love to see. Okay, so let's continue connecting the whole city with bike. So now people can get to Upper Benedict all the way down. They can get into Central Benedict and into the downtown networks here that now run all around the waterfront. Which is cool. So now I want you to be able to leave this way. So the bike infrastructure will come across the road. Is the flooding clear in here? Looks like it keeps coming and then stopping. This area is essentially in permanent flood. But it's fine. It's alright. I can't fight it anymore. I'm just accepting it. It's just a very wet bit of the city. So this will come all the way down, and it doesn't need to go all the way down because this is national highway infrastructure. But I definitely wanted to come through to Shelton. And I'm going to do this block around here in cycling too. Just so we get some more really interesting tram and bike intersections here as well, right? Again, I'm pretty blown away by that, to be honest. That's like really cool. The bike lane, I think having the bike lanes function as upgrades like the other transit lanes do was definitely the way to go. And I love the one-way directionality of them as well. It's just, it's pretty nice, to be honest. And then we'll keep this going all the way down the arterial, because this is eventually going to lead into more metropolitan civilization, which will lie as a huge bike arterial that now runs through the whole of the city, really. So just to trace that so you can get a sense of where you can travel, starting from... I'll turn the notifications off, although you can't see the mouse. So starting from the central train station, you can cycle down the main couplet here, straight the way through into Shelton and all the way down here. Of course, that train station gets you all over the map anyway. You can then cycle further down road, cross over a cycling bridge into downtown and get all around here. Wouldn't also mind adding a cycling bridge over here as well. Maybe we'll upgrade that middle one so they can get to work. And then from the couplet system, you can also get to Central Benedict around the town centre design, which is here. There's the one-way cycling networks, which then goes all the way up Main Street into Upper Benedict, where you can then reach, of course, many different other forms of transit. I absolutely adore that. Huge fan of cycling. Let's go and upgrade one of those bike bridges into the port. So we've got our cycling infrastructure here. Let me turn off positioning here and we'll go for that one. It's pretty fantastic. And we've also got specific bike pathways here, which you'll see. We'll try to find a spot to use them today. I really might upgrade the back of the path station to hold that sort of stuff. I might do that in a second. I feel a bit reluctant removing walking at the same time, you know. So this will be a good spot for a bicycle pathway, actually. We'll have our snapping back on for this particular section. And then they can cycle into the port once the water collision goes away. Cool. Again, these are all highway roads, but I suppose I wouldn't mind extending it down this way. Just hit a one-way flow system here, which I'm happy to respect with the bike lanes. And then we'll just have that run into the industrial area. It can stop here. That should be plenty of ways for people to get back into to work. Which I hope it might take a bit of pressure off the interchanges, because public transport isn't great to the port, really. Could probably do with the bus heading over there. In downtown, we're not bad. I definitely want to get some bike infrastructure here. Try and encourage it a little bit further. So we'll have large bicycle storage. I think I'm going to do 3 of these. I'm going to use those surfaces again, of course, to... Although we've got, yeah, we do, don't we? We have... So I'm just going to have to actually move this surface first. Please add it. Colossal Order. Please give the vanilla game toggleable collision. I beg you. One day, everyone. One day we'll get it. And then perhaps some fun little trees here. Maybe some flower bushes out front. A little cycling park here. And then just tidy up that surface that we moved at the start. Also like a bike stand here as well. And then I think definitely around a lot of these kind of like institute type places, because we've got quite a lot of big buildings. Oh, it clashes with the surfaces, doesn't it? I think a lot of these little corners are going to be really good for it. I think it definitely will take some blending in though. I don't think you can just plop and leave these. I definitely want a bit of TLC. Even if it's just an extension of the surface and a happier oak, just to give it some border, some definition, I think, something like that. Okay, and then tucked into the bottom of our little buildings here. Little bits of cycling. See them starting to arrive here now. So they're taking a little U-turn there, aren't they? Can't add that one in, unfortunately. But that's good. I'm happy with that. Let's continue to add our bike transit around other public transit centres in Yoakley. I have to say, now this has been running for a little bit, the bikes have really taken over the streets. There's not too many people actually driving anymore. There's loads of bikes here, isn't there? So the bikes have fixed the traffic, but at the same time, the bikes have also become the traffic, which I think is progress. I think it is progress. I have also realised that I didn't change the direction of this one earlier. So we'll do that on the right-hand side here, of course, so they're not travelling against the flow of traffic, which I'm sure is incredibly dangerous. Should be last two segments here. Yeah, look at that, see them? All sat on this wrong way. That fully completes the cycling loop for at least Lower Benedict. You see all those people refine their route now. Coming over this junction here. So it is actually kind of nice to see them using it, to be honest. And I think I'm certainly noticing less cars, especially down this street if we want to take it as an example. A little bit of traffic there, apparently. There's so many cyclists, holy crap. Yeah, there's loads, isn't there? Not all of them using the cycling lanes though, which is quite interesting. I wonder why that is. But there's absolute hordes of them. Oh my word. Alright. Cool. Let's carry on adding in some more cycling infrastructure. So we're thinking a big move of progress for the city. I'm going to delete a car park in favour of bike infrastructure. So we'll have one of these cycling halls here. Possibly two of these, and then two regular spots in the middle. And then possibly something like that, maybe. And I'll put all these concrete surfaces on the bottom together. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then here, maybe we can have... Is there a fire here? Something. Oh yeah, a tower block is burning down, of course. Just another day in Shelton. Don't mind too much about that. And then we'll do some smaller trees here. Cool. So it's pretty easy to install these essentially kind of like bike hire corners, isn't it? Around the city. Replacing entire car parks in some instance. They're even using it there to come in, aren't they? Okay. So that's a cycling hub for Shelton. I don't think I want to put it in Sunnyside, because you could only be able to cycle around Sunnyside because it's all highway roads to get out here. So I don't think I want people actually cycling over this way. Probably leave Sunnyside alone. And then I wouldn't mind another, I guess what we're going to refer to as an ongoing bike hire point. I'm also available over here. And how about on the corner near this tram bend here? Remove some trees. And then let's pick different size one here. We've got the large building as well, haven't we? Large one would be nice. Doesn't quite fit there. I think I'll do two cycling halls here. I definitely want to find space for that larger building though. I mean, I think that'll do it, right? Maybe a couple of extra props in this little space to help here. Let's grab maybe a hot dog stand. A couple of bins and just some basic local seats. There's just another little simple bike installation right by our cycling networks, which aren't too busy down this way, but not tons cycling up this way. Certainly the main street through Benedict is much busier than it is at Upper Benedict for sure. Trams are horrifically busy as well, aren't they? Yeah, we definitely do need more tram vehicles, so I imagine that's probably why it's just getting too busy. And then lastly, we'll head into city centre. I know we did place these ones by the grass verge, which is fine. But I wouldn't mind certainly some here, because we do have still some zoning opportunities where, well, it wasn't able to be zoned. So let's come into our bike stuff and we'll try... I really do want the large cycling hall in, has to be said. Yeah, I like that. Quite a nice building, this one, actually. Again, I'm not going to charge them any bike parking fees. And then let's bring all of these up and around the edge of the building. Let's blend it into that current walkable path network. I think there's probably even some detailing that lends itself quite nicely over here, isn't there? I'll just correct that one a little bit. And then we'll give them some trees around here. Also pull that surface back too. There we go. And I don't want the tree on the road though, so downgrade that. Nice bit of green belt around this. Some slightly different trees as well, perhaps. Get some seats by the water. It's quite a grey day in Yoakley today, as you can probably tell. We are in the depths of winter at minus 10 degrees, goodness me. Horrifically cold. And another few hot dog stands. A couple of bins, and we can just have a nice little cycling orientated inner city space. I think, where does this road go? Yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind having quite a bit more bike road through the middle of the city. So I'll feed it into the junction there. And then we'll have all of these. Can go straight down, intersecting with this cycle network again, which gives us another really cool, kind of impressive downtown junction, doesn't it? Really awesome. Big fan of how they've managed to implement the kind of road markings into these cycle networks. It's really adds quite a lot to your road network, doesn't it? But otherwise, I think that'll do it for adding bikes to Yoakley. And we've certainly seen an impact. I'll include some further cinematics toward the end of the video today. But either way, let's have a look at the new zoning assets that have arrived. And then we'll also take a look at the patch notes as well. Got all those cyclists here. Holy crap. Alright, let's take a look at the new assets that come with the pack. First of all, we have the small windmill generating a max of 2 megawatts, which isn't an awful lot, but does serve very much as a rural power solution. And some really nice ironwork. It's like, I guess, is it wood? It's probably wood, isn't it? Really nice textures. So a rural power solution is always welcome. Quite a specific asset, but it'll get use. There is also now a small wind turbine, which is 4 megawatts compared to, I think it's 10, the big one, isn't it? 0 to 6, so 0 to 4, so a slight increase in your small wind turbine. Also have a small transformer station capable of transforming 100 megawatts compared to the regular one, which is exactly the same as the regular one, actually. Next door we have a multi-column elevated water tower. Again, will go quite nicely with your more rural, smaller windmill for a bit of a out-of-town vibe. A small cemetery is very welcome. The death care kind of sucks in the official assets. The Dutch cemetery has definitely been the best one. And this one we have an extra burial lot, which is a multiple placeable building. And then also a columbarium. So you now have some smaller, much more placeable death care without having to rely on the enormous vanilla cemetery. Love this asset. And next door to this we have the city bus station, which is just another bus station. Of course, you have your 6 platforms either side of it if you want to run buses here. But nice asset. It's also got a little rooftop parking space as well. Bit of a park and ride system maybe. Quite nice to make out of this. And next door to this, we have the railway depot, which is functioning as a slightly smaller rail yard for you. And a much more different style. This one looks much older. And is a really quite gorgeous asset, to be honest. Lots of stairs, old brick, and of course 2 train lines emanating out from either end of it if you want a smaller train solution. We also have a new terminus station, which is very nice. A 2 end-of-line station with lots of car parking. And a nice little frontage. Kind of like a little bit of the baby brother of the glass box station from CS1, almost. Similar vibes. just not quite as big. And next door to this, we have the cargo transfer station, which will blend very nicely into your brand new bridges and ports areas. Just a variant on your cargo export facility via trains. Love to see it come in. These are some of my favourite assets. We have some tram stations, ploppable, 3 of them. Up and down, left and right, and in a loop. So just a nice way to integrate a tram stop into a park area, or just an already existing build with these fun little assets. And they're really nice. I love these little like shapes in the middle of them, like modern art, and the little circular benches. Really fun assets, will blend very nicely into many different bits of park and just detail and infrastructure, I'm sure. And next to us this, we have the terminal subway yard, functioning as a smaller, more discreet version of your subways. Of course, the vanilla metro yard is pretty massive, so this is a much more welcome addition to perhaps introduce subway to your city without relying on the massive depot. We also got some new parks, the Terrace Plaza, which again, anything that has depth, I'm a huge fan of. We've even got a little walkway there as well where they'll head through to the other side, and some Sims already choosing to enjoy it, walking down there with their dog, and then walking back out up the stairs. Very nice. Next door to this, we have the Winding Park, which is a bit of a unique one. It's quite overgrown in the middle. I would have maybe expected a plaza, but I'm not really sure what you could probably do with this one. Maybe just blend it into Greenbelt around some more modern art infrastructure maybe. But quite a unique park anyway. Then the Business Plaza, which is my favourite one. With so many different layers and stairs. Love this new tile decal as well. It's quite jazzy, that, isn't it? Yeah, nice new parks. They're always welcome. They'll get used. Very extendable as well, of course, with all these flat surface edges. You can quite easily detail this into a number of different spaces. And the bicycle park, of course, to celebrate this patch, which comes with its own bicycle parking, alongside a giant wheel, of course. Quite a small park. And then we also get the large campfire site as well. So that's all your new ploppable park, service, and industrial buildings. Get all of these for free, which is always nice. Love that the Colossal Order and Paradox do this. Free assets to the base game is great. CS2 has never really wanted for assets, to be honest. With the enormous region packs, there's like, if you just scroll through the zone types now across both styles, like look at all the different residential zonings. It's kind of insane. And the same with commercial. Industry has not been touched at all yet, which is surprising. Office a little bit, but there's so much residential and mixed use zonings now. It's kind of wild. And the service assets, especially the schools, like, there's so many. It's so much buildings to place in CS2. You get even more with this patch. Over here, we have our new zoning styles. We'll briefly look over these. So on the right-hand side here, we have, or on the top, we have our EU mixed Old Town. And then this bottom block is the US mixed Old Towns. Two very differently distinctive styles, as you can tell. And first of all, we'll check out the European side. So there's lots of Bavarian vibes here, isn't there? Particularly kind of Austrian or German to me. But look how nice the corner units are, right? They're really stunning. Of course, they're all functioning as mixed-use buildings, so residential and commercial together. You'll see loads of different combinations here, some smaller ones in the middle, with the little alleyways through the middle to the back as well. It's these little detailed prop courtyards, very expandable. Yeah, lots of old red and green tile roof. These European themed assets, right? Particularly like this one here, that's a really nice asset, isn't it? And the corner units too. That makes a big difference, doesn't it? Big champion of this, like just the different shaped pavement on a street corner can add quite a lot to a build, I think. Angles and orientation and everything, aren't they? All these little wooden sort of kind of support beams as well on that little kind of sky bridge. So they're nice. They're definitely kind of pretty themed. Can't put these anywhere. I think you have to really lean into the older European vibe if it's something you're interested in. They're nice. Can never really complain too much about CS2's asset modeling. They do a good job of them. Not counting the Sims in that criteria, of course. But the buildings are just simply stunning. Nice blue number here as well. So it's not all kind of greys, reds and greens. You're going to get some more border structures, I think, here. Nice balconies on that one, isn't there? And there's quite a few different versions of them as well, you know? Like really big, chunky buildings there, right? It's almost like a unit building in itself, that, isn't it? We have nice balconies again, too. Like, look at all this texture work there. Really nice, isn't it? Of course, in these super blocks, you could quite easily just then glue all of these surfaces together in the middle to continue making all these kind of like European-style beer gardens. Slightly pink number here with a little porch on it. Right. So gorgeous assets. Really, really nice. Especially the European ones. The American ones aren't particularly worse, to be honest. With the American stuff, this really kind of screams New Orleans to me, doesn't it? It's got that like deep south American vibe to it. Again, functioning as mixed use. This building in particular is gorgeous. Like, look at the wrought iron railings on that. Isn't that gorgeous? Super nice. Again, many different shapes and sizes. Look at the back of this one here. Very dramatic, that, isn't it? Balconies. Multiple different orientations. This corner unit is gorgeous, isn't it? Imagine putting 4 of those together into one big super block. Able to create some really nice things. This one as well. Big 3-level buildings. There's little turrets. Tons of balconies on them, isn't there? Which I think adds just so much to the street, doesn't it? Like, especially if we just look down there. I don't know what it is about a balcony and an asset. It really does sell it to me. Some small bars tucked in the middle here as well. A bit more of a saloon type vibe there, isn't it? Again, just immaculate work. Some colour variation in here as well with the greens. Pinks. Even more with these buildings, like these in a row would make such a great kind of old school main street, wouldn't they? This little middle building here. Of course, I'd probably advise plopping these because you can get some super incredible shapes. Look at this big red bron here. Super impressive corner unit. Even like a rounded corner to it as well. And to be honest, the two styles together aren't absolutely horrific either, are they? Probably could get away with blending them to an extent, I think. I imagine you probably would hit some issues at some point. Little stack of potatoes, little potato stand out there. Pretty fancy bookshop, that, isn't it? This one's a stunning asset, different colour variation of the one we saw further down. And they're fun. You definitely get use out of them. And of course you can't really complain when they're free. There you go, look at that spawn generation there, right? So with 3 different buildings we've had like such an interesting block spawn. Almost like creating these cohesive balcony units. So even zoned, like you can get some pretty impressive structure there, can't you, you know? So big fan of them. There's quite a few different ones of them in different sizes, variations, prop variants, and parking variants and whatnot. So you can enjoy a new mixed use style. And then also the low density variants, both European and US, right and left again here respectively, have also received a bunch of new house variants, which we can try and pick some out here. I think this is one of the US ones here, isn't it? One of these new houses. But they're pretty similar to the base game ones, to be honest. So if you're using a lot of this European and American low density stuff, you will notice some new asset variation in them now. I think in particular the North American side really needed a lot of variants because you end up getting kind of tons of this sort of stuff, you know. It's a lot of very repetitive action, so the less repetition in the zoning is always better. So here's one of the new European ones. They're not too standout-ish compared to what we already have, but little variations in balconies, sheds and gardens, etc. will go a long way, I think, to eliminating the mass zoned aesthetic. Again, that's much worse with the American stuff, as you get a lot of this sort of repetition. I'll also show off the cycling stuff briefly here as well in isolation out of Yoakley. Our bike stand areas, the small bicycle shelter, large bicycle shelter, which we got a good look at earlier. The small bicycle storage, medium bicycle storage, and large. And just increasing in a tile every size. And the bicycle parking hall, of course, which we place in Yoakley as well. Super nice looking building. Very modern, isn't it? And then the same with its large variant just next door. Then the underground parking here. Right here, we have our single cycle pathway here. These are found under your cycle menu. One way, two-way and walking, which I could have used this in Yoakley to be honest, but I don't think I have the room for a two-wide pathway. I think I'll struggle with collision. I might try that. And then over here, our bridges, one we used in Yoakley, with the covered variant and then the cable stayed variant. And over here we also have our 2 keys, 1 flat wall, again which is pedestrian and cycling. And then also over here we have the ribbed variant for pedestrian and cycling keys as well. So I'm a huge lover of the expanded cycling infrastructure. Paths, keys and buildings being added to cycling is a huge thumbs up for me. And I'm an enormous fan of it, quite honestly. But that'll do it for all of your assets that are arriving with this particular patch. So we'll briefly touch on some of the more important notes in the patch notes here. There's been various crash to desktop fixes, so if you have been suffering with that, you can pause the video here and see if your particular issue has been sorted. I think as with most CS2 patches, you have to take a lot of this with a pinch of salt because every one of these patches has kind of broken something else. The leveling resource delivery updates and fixes. The building leveling up resource delivery will now be handled by the industrial companies. A resource storage warehouse and outside connections. I'm not really too bothered about this. Like, can we have a forest brush, please? That'd be nice. And a key would be very welcome. A toggleable collision or something like that. I get this stuff has to be fixed, but I don't care for this, you know. What I do care for, however, the most important note here is the fix too many shopping citizens bug, which was what was causing a vast majority of your traffic with hundreds of thousands of walking sims in some cases, of just clogging your streets and all your pedestrian crossings. This is the most important fix of the patch. Yoakley, as you saw earlier in the video, is much calmer now in terms of its walking. There is still some traffic, but it's getting less with time. So I like this one. This is a very good fix. Some fixes with levitating citizens getting stuck and spinning around when trying to take a selfie. So a bunch of gameplay and just sort of visual bugs and fixes. An issue with signature buildings never having another company in them if they're ever rebuilt. Prisons not effectively reducing crime rate in their radius. They changed the prison's crime calculation from absolute to relative, as the accumulated crime amount is quite large, making the odd value insignificant. So what, prisons haven't been working for 2 years, have they not? I don't even know that was a problem. And then also things like the Intelligence Bureau not reducing the crime rate like it says that it does. And then also an incorrect air pollution value from battery station. So pause the video here. I'll also leave the patch notes on the Paradox forums linked below as well if you want to come and read these for yourself. But there's varying different fixes from quite large to quite small problems. So if the last time you played you were having issues with this, then maybe something's been fixed for you here. There's also been a small amount of UI and controller fixes, adding wealth information to the selected info panel of residents as well. They've added the castle, old cemetery ruins, old mill, stone monument, and the stone head formations to the nature props tab. More of this. I would like to see more of the props being added to these tabs every episode, every update. I think that would be very welcome. It feels like we've been a while since we've had some new props with these updates, and there are still some things that are needed for people without Find It. Improving the bus lane color, some small water bug fixes that I imagine arose from the water rework with the bridges and ports patch. Fixed birds endlessly circling, okay, that's fine. And then also a bunch of miscellaneous and updates and fixes to the modding scene and Paradox mods as a platform, of course. But otherwise, guys, that'll do it for our look over and talk over such an enormous update for Cities Skylines as a franchise. Also leaves me wondering what's going to happen with CS1. Paradox have still been supporting it with content creator packs. Will they still continue to arrive? Their official stance on supporting CS1 was that if we're happy to still keep supporting and buying those packs, then they will still keep coming. But CS1 was not referenced in any of the press release stuff, so I'll do some digging with my own personal Paradox contacts to see if I can find a bit more concrete information on that, because I still play an awful lot of CS1, more than I do play CS2, so something I'm still quite interested in. I will also underline this entire video by saying it's very sad that it's had to come to this. The 2 years that Colossal Order have tried to bring CS2 in line have just not really worked, have they? And it is incredibly sad that it's come to this. This game gave me a job as a YouTuber, allowed me to create my own community, which is still super active. Come and join us over in the Discord for lots of Cities Skylines chat. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for me. I begin to run out of patience with a lot of the decisions that have been made over the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, I don't want anyone to have to lose their jobs and their livelihoods over this split. I hope that Colossal Order can survive this episode in their history and go on to create many more games, which maybe one day we'll cover on this channel as well. But clearly, their time with Cities Skylines has come to an end. And it turns out we were right. We managed to speculate it. But it is still overwhelmingly quite a sad moment for the Cities Skylines franchise, and indeed an incredibly important turning point. What is going to happen here? And what will it mean for the CS creators? I genuinely have absolutely no idea, but I suppose we'll see over the next 12 to 18 months exactly what is going to happen to Cities Skylines. And with other city builders on the horizon, City State 3 is looking very innovative with its new zoning system. And I'm sure now, after this news, there's an executive at another publisher possibly switched on to a gap in the market in the city building genre if this change turns out to be the wrong decision. An enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that help support this channel, with a raw call to our golden patron eggs: Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Bad Wolf, Louis Adlam, Phoenix MD, Blythe, Jamin, and Great C. Your support means more than ever after news like this, so if you're interested and like the videos here, you can check out links to Instant Gaming and Patreon if you would indeed like to help support the work we do. Either way, please leave me your thoughts and feelings down below. There's going to be quite a mixed comment section on this video, I imagine. Either way, I'll shut up and leave it there, and thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.